Malaga Radio.
Freshly squeezed.
The juice on all the daily events along the coast.
With just a little bit of zest.
Hola, mis amors, and welcome to another edition of the Malaga Radio Weekly Diary. I'm Carmen.
And I'm Baptiste. And together we're your guides to everything happening across the Costa del Sol this week, from Monday the 8th to Sunday the 14th of September.
This is the moment we sit down, take a deep breath, and walk you through the fairs, the festivals, the food, the music, the exhibitions, and the adventures that make this coast so alive. And September? Oh, it's such a special time. The light is softer, the crowds are thinner, and the events just keep coming.
And for this episode, we've built something a little extra. Our special spotlight takes you town by town across the Costa del Sol, not the package holiday cliché, but the real sun coast. From Manilva and Estepona all the way to Nerja, we'll show you why autumn here might just be the best season of all.
Yes, and I may get carried away because each town has its own flavor. But don't worry, Baptiste tries to keep us on the map. It's one of our favorite specials to record.
After that, we'll dive into our usual 5 sections: festivals and traditions, culture and exhibitions, food and hospitality, music and nightlife, and sports and outdoors. Each one packed with highlights happening right now.
And remember, this podcast is your weekly big picture. But if you want the day-by-day updates, join us every morning on Freshly Squeezed, our live show that gives you 3 handpicked events for that very day. It's like your daily planner, freshly served.
And if you want links, maps, and booking info for anything we mentioned, head to the Weekly Diary blog at malagaradio.com. Everything's there waiting for you.
Plus, if you love exploring deeper, don't miss our other podcasts, Active Adventures for Hiking, Sailing, and Extreme Sports, and Towns in Focus, where we dedicate whole episodes to one place at a time.
So settle in, whether you're planning your week, reminiscing about your trip, or just dreaming about the Costa del Sol from afar. This is your guide to everything happening here right now.
This is the Malaga Radio Weekly Diary, episode 35. Let's get started.
Malaga Radio.
You know, Baptiste, people still imagine the Costa del Sol as some sort of package holiday cliche from the 80s. All-inclusives, plastic sunbeds, and tourists marching up and down the paseo in identical flip-flops. But that's not the reality anymore, and especially not in September. This is when the coast is at its most beautiful. The light is softer, the crowds are gone, the beaches breathe again.
I knew you were going to start with the poetry. But you're right. I mean, while Berlin is already digging scarves out of closets, Torremolinos is still 25 degrees, palm trees swaying, sardines roasting over wood fires. And that's why they call it the Sun Coast. And today I thought we'd do something simple for our listeners. A neat little map, town by town, from west to east. We'll start in Manilva and end in Nerja. Organized, structured, helpful.
Organized? With me? Good luck, because the thing about this coast is it doesn't work in neat lines. Every town pulls you sideways. You start in Estepona and somehow end up in Malaga eating churros because you heard a guitar through an open window. But fine, let's try it your way.
Right, west to east, we start in Manilva, right at the edge of Malaga province. And if you time it just right, the town smells of muscatel grapes, that harvest festival at the beginning of September, the grape stomping, the parades.
Oh yes, the vendimia. Even if you miss the exact weekend, you still feel it. The vines creeping down the hillsides, the sweetness in the air. And I love how in Manilva you can taste wine that feels ancient, like it's carried the sun of 1,000 Septembers. You're not sipping from a glass, you're sipping from history.
See, already you've gone off script. I was going to say, Manilva is more than wine. It's the doorway to the Costa del Sol, quiet beaches, family-friendly promenades, but sure, yes, the grapes too.
And then you step into Estepona and suddenly everything is flowers. They call it the Garden of the Costa del Sol, and it's not just a slogan. Walk through the old town in September and it smells like geraniums and orange blossom, pots tumbling down whitewashed walls. And then there's Playa del Cristo.
A little sheltered cove.
Yes, exactly. It's like a secret pocket of the Mediterranean. The water is so calm. Parents sit back under the trees, kids paddle without worry, and the chiringuitos sometimes have live music floating out over the sand. And the sunsets? My goodness, you see the Rock of Gibraltar silhouetted in the distance.
Okay, I'll give you that. But if I'm in Estepona, I want tapas, the Plaza de las Flores, buzzing with life even in September, and La Casa del Rey, where you can order wines by the glass and taste little plates that feel like works of art. That's what I love. Estepona is both old and new. You can tuck into anchovies at Tabon Juan Luna or go modern at a gastropub 2 doors down.
And if you want something really different, step into the Orchidarium. 3 glass domes, one soaring like a cathedral, with 1,300 orchids blooming in a tropical little jungle, waterfalls, exotic birds. It's like walking into another climate entirely, even though you're in the middle of town. That's what September lets you do. Wander without queues, no rush, just you and the flowers.
So far, so good. My map is holding. But then we slide into Marbella and Puerto Banús, and the vibe changes completely. The beaches stretch wide and golden. La Fontanier if you want something central, or Playa Padre with its boho loungers and chilled out crowd. September makes them feel calmer, more sophisticated, less champagne spraying, more sea breeze relaxation.
So let's be honest, if you're in Marbella, you have to get lost in the old town. Plaza de los Naranjos with the orange trees filling the square with perfume. Cobble lanes, hidden courtyards, and tapas tours that lead you from one tucked-away bar to another, each with its own little story. September is perfect for that because you can actually get a table without elbowing your way past 100 people.
And then Puerto Banús, still the place for glamour. Super yachts, designer boutiques, restaurants where the menu comes with a side of people watching, Los Bandidos, Pravda, places that have seen celebrities for decades. But here's a trick. September tones it down just enough. You still get the sparkle, but you also get space to breathe.
And don't forget what's happening just inland during this week. The Feria in Mijas Pueblo, with the whole white village strung with decorations and music pouring into the streets. And the Luna Mora festival in Guaro, thousands of candles turning the village into a fairy tale. You drive half an hour from Marbella, and suddenly you're in a world lit only by fire and stars.
Okay, I'll admit, your detours make sense. This western stretch of the Costa del Sol is all about contrasts. Manilva's grapes, Estepona's flowers and orchids, Marbella's glamour and tapas, Banús' sparkle. And September is when it all feels accessible again. The crowds have thinned, the heat has softened, and suddenly the Costa feels like it belongs to you.
Exactly. And that's why I said from the start, you can't make this coast a neat map. It's not linear. It's alive. You think you're in one town, but the scent of flowers or the echo of a guitar pulls you to the next. That's what September feels like, one long golden detour.
Right, my map says the next stop is Fuengirola, and I'm determined to stay on track this time.
Stay on track? In Fuengirola? Good luck. The whole town is a maze of tapas bars. You take 2 steps and you're distracted by a plate of sardines or a jug of sangria.
True, but let's start at the beach, because this place has nearly 8 kilometers of them. Families head to Los Boliches or Gaviotas, long stretches of sand with calm water, playgrounds, and lifeguards. But my favorite is down by Playa del Castillo, near Sohel Castle. There's a bit of swell, a parkour area, people trying out paddle boards. It has energy.
Oh, yes. And from there, you can walk straight into the old fortress Sohail Castle, built 1,000 years ago, looking out over the sea. I love going up in September when the sun isn't so fierce. You stand on those walls and you see the whole sweep of coast. It feels timeless.
And then inevitably, you get hungry.
Exactly. And Fuengirola knows how to feed you. La Plaza de los Chinoros is the heartbeat, packed with locals, little restaurants, elbow to elbow. Order a plate of pipirana malameña, that fresh seafood salad, or espetos of sardines smoking over wood fire. You sit under the trees, glasses clinking, kids running through the square. It feels Andalusian but alive with its own energy.
And the best part is September is come. Fuengiola's big feria, the Feria del Rosario, isn't until October. So right now, it's the perfect balance. Lively, but not overwhelming. You can actually find a table. You can park your car. You can wander the paseo without being elbow to elbow.
And if you want a festival vibe, you don't have to go far. Just up the coast in Rincón de la Victoria, the Anchovy Festival runs this exact week, September 9th to 14th. Whole streets celebrating the humble Boquerón, music, tastings, barrels of beer, and fried anchovies by the dozen. I mean, come on, how can you resist?
So much for my neat little map. One anchovy and we're already off course.
That's the Costa del Sol for you. Anchovies always win.
Okay, deep breath, back to the map. Next is Benalmádena, and this town really has two personalities. On the coast, you've got Puerto Marina, twice voted the world's best marina. It's all yachts, nightlife, and international restaurants. Busy, flashy, sometimes overwhelming.
There's true, but just 10 minutes uphill, you're in Benalmádena Pueblo, and suddenly it's a different world. Whitewashed houses, flower pots, quiet plazas, and tapas that taste like they've been cooked the same way for generations. I love going up there in September, when the air is cooler, sitting in a little bar with a plate of berenjenas con miel, fried aubergines with honey.
See, that's the beauty of Benalmádena. Coast and Pueblo, yin and yang. And if you want attractions, you've got plenty. The cable car takes you right up the mountain. At the top, there are falconry shows, and those views, 360 degrees across the Mediterranean. On a clear September day, you can even see Morocco. And for something gentler, there's Paloma Park, rabbits and chickens wandering free, a big lake, families picnicking under the palms. Simple, but lovely.
That's what September gives you. Space to notice the small things. Kids feeding ducks in the park. The sound of flamenco echoing from a bar in the pueblo. The smell of salt and grilled fish on the paseo. It's not the manic energy of summer. It's calmer, more human.
And the timing is perfect for side trips too. Just inland, this same week, you got the Luna Mora Festival in Guaro. Thousands of candles lighting up a Moorish village, music drifting through the night. It's magical.
Which is why, Baptiste, your map never really works. Because the Costa del Sol isn't a straight line of towns. It's a web of experiences, beaches, tapa squares, castles, candlelit villages, each one pulling you in a different direction.
Fine. I admit it, my neat plan doesn't stand a chance. But maybe that's the point. This coast isn't meant to be tidy. It's meant to be lived.
Exactly. And in September, you finally get the chance to live it without the rush. Fuengirola's plazas, Benalmádena's viewpoints, the anchovies in Rincón. All of it feels like yours. That's the real Sun Coast.
Okay, Carmen, we follow the coast east from Benalmádena, and now my map finally makes sense because Torremolinos really is the next stop. No detours, no side trips, just Torremolinos.
I'd give you 5 seconds before you get lost because Torremolino is like 3 towns in one. You've got Carihuela, family, seafood, tradition, then Los Alalmos, cocktails, DJs, neon lights, and somewhere in between, the old quarter with tapas bars where locals still slip you a free plate with your drink.
See, you're already skipping ahead, but let's start with the beaches. La Carihuela is the classic, fine sand, calm seas, perfect for families. I love watching grandparents teaching their grandkids to swim there. And just behind, rows of chiringuitos grilling sardines on open fires. And September makes it even better, still warm, but not overcrowded.
And then you turn the corner to Los Almos and suddenly the soundtrack changes. Beach clubs, bally beds, DJs spinning as the sun goes down. You're sipping a mojito with your toes in the sand, thinking, how is this the same town as Carihuela? That's Torremolinos. 2 different personalities on the same shoreline.
Which is why I think people underestimate it. Torremolinos has this reputation from decades ago, the very first tourist hub of the Costa del Sol. Package holidays, charter flights, the works. But today, it's evolved. It's diverse. It's inclusive. It has history layered under the neon.
And you feel that history in the El Calvario district, tucked away from the coast, where the streets are quieter and tapas bars still serve you a free little plate with every drink. Caracol, snails cooked in broth. At Bar La Caracoles, or rustic stews at Los Secretios de mi Tierra. I love wandering there on a September evening. The air is cooler, the plazas glow softly, and you hear the hum of conversation rather than the thump of music.
Surprise smiley. I'll admit, El Calvario surprised me. I expected tourist crowds, and instead I found locals chatting on benches, kids kicking a football, and bars that looked like they hadn't changed in 40 years. That's the real Torremolinos. Not flashy, just lived in.
And the timing matters. The big San Miguel Feria doesn't arrive until later in September, the 24th to the 28th, which means during our week, Torremolinos feels calm, almost like it's taking a breath before the fiesta begins. Streets are easy to stroll, the promenade is wide open, and you get the sense of anticipation without the crush of crowds.
Exactly. September is the sweet spot. You can dip into Carihuela for a seafood lunch, spend the afternoon in Los Alamos with its party vibe, then finish the night in El Calvario with tapas and wine for the price of a couple of coffees back home. 3 Torremolinos experiences in one day, all without stress.
And don't forget the view from the old town, looking down toward the beaches, palm trees, parasols, the Mediterranean stretching out like a sheet of glass. In autumn light, it's golden. That's when you realize the Costa del Sol isn't just a summer holiday machine. It's subtropical. It's year-round. It's September evenings where you're still in sandals while Paris is already in coats.
There you go then, wandering off the map. But you're right, Torremolinos is the perfect example of what we've been saying all episodes. It's not the cliché. It's not the 80s holiday poster. It's layered. It's alive. And in September, it finally has room to breathe.
And that's why, Baptiste, your map never works because the coast isn't just geography. It's moods, it's flavors, it's memories, and Torremolinos has all of them.
All right, Carmen, my map has one last stretch. We leave Torremolino behind, cross Malaga city, and head east into the Axarquia. 2 towns left on our journey, Torre del Mar and Nerja.
And what a finale, because this part of the coast feels different, less glitzy, more local, more Andalusian heartbeat. Let's start with Torre del Mar, unassuming, practical, but so easy to love.
Exactly. The beach here is the star of massive blue flag urban stretch with a cycling path running the length of the Paseo. September mornings, you see joggers, rollerbladers, families out with strollers. And because the heat has softened, it feels perfect, active, but not exhausting.
And then you stop for lunch, because Torre del Mar's promenade is lined with chiringuitos, each with espetos smoking over open fires, sardines skewered and grilled until the skin blisters and crisps. Order a cold beer, sit back, and the world slows down. It's not about glamour here. It's about authenticity.
And even the attractions tell you who Torre del Mar is. The Aqua Valleys water park isn't a polished luxury resort thing. It's a family day out, slides, pools, laughter echoing across the park. And in September, you can actually enjoy it without the August queues. It feels friendly, unpretentious, just like the town.
See, Baptiste, even your neat map has surprises because while you're enjoying water slides, just up the road in Rincón de la Victoria, they are throwing the Anchovy Festival. September 9th to 14th, a whole town devoted to boquerones. Then inland, the Racing Festival in La Viñuela, the Goat Festival in Casabermeja, the Vineyards Festival in Moclinejo. September in the Axarquia is one long harvest celebration.
We go again off the map and into the hills. But you're right, Torre del Mar is a gateway. And from here, the road hugs the coast until you reach Nerja, the balcony of the Mediterranean.
Nerja is magic. The town where cliffs tumble into coves, where the sea turns turquoise in the September light. Walk out onto the Balcón de Europa and the view opens like a painting. Mountains to one side, endless sea to the other. Couples strolling, kids licking ice creams, street musicians filling the air. It's romantic, but also completely unpretentious.
And the beaches, you've got Burriana for action with water sports and long rows of sunbeds still buzzing even in September. But if you want something quieter, Mauro Beach is a hidden gem. A little cove in a nature reserve, perfect for snorkeling or kayaking. The water is so clear, you feel like you're swimming in glass.
And when you get hungry, Nerja has its own rhythm. The tapas bars here still follow the old rule, a generous, free tapa with every drink. So you don't plan a meal, you wander. A drink here, a tapa there. La Puntilla for fried fish, El Pulguilla for prawns, Dolores El Chispa for what locals swear is the best pescadito frito in town. You end up full without even realizing it.
And then there's the Nerja Caves, the underground cathedral, vast chambers with stalactites dripping from the ceiling, cool air wrapping around you. It's an all-season experience, but in September, with fewer crowds, you can hear the echo of your own footsteps. It feels otherworldly.
That's the essence of Nerja. Above ground, the lightest, brightest Mediterranean life. Below ground, prehistoric silence, and both just steps apart.
And again, the timing matters. Nerja's Feria isn't until October. So right now, it's calm, welcoming, still buzzing, but not overwhelming. September is when the town feels like it belongs to the locals and you get to be part of it.
So, Baptiste, after all this, how's your map looking?
Turn to shreds. But maybe that's the point. You can draw a straight line along the coast, but living it, that's always going to be messy and much more fun.
Exactly. And that's why we wanted to dedicate this week's spotlight to the towns themselves, because each one is a world, and in September, they shine in their own way. The beaches, the tapas squares, the off-season attractions. They're not clichés, they're experiences, and they're waiting for you. So that's our journey from Manilva's vineyards to Nerja's caves, skipping back and forth, losing the map, and finding the soul of the Costa del Sol instead.
I try to keep it neat town by town, but you kept jumping ahead with tapas, festivals, beaches, and maybe that's the point. This coast isn't tidy. It's alive, layered, impossible to box in.
And September is the perfect moment to feel that. Warm seas, golden light, quieter streets. Berlin might be freezing, Paris already in coats, but here you're still eating sardines on the beach at 25 degrees. This is why we call it the Sun Coast.
Exactly. And if you want to dive deeper into each town, remember we've got a whole series of town diaries on Malaga Radio. We'll be updating them this autumn with fresh episodes. So you can explore Estepona, Marbella, Fuengirola, Benalmádena, Torremolinos, Torre del Mar, Nerja, each in detail, each with its own voice.
Because that's what makes this coast special. 7 towns, 7 personalities, 1 rhythm of life. And in September, when the rush is gone, you get to experience them at their best.
So stay with us, because that's just a special spotlight. Coming up in this week's episode of the Weekly Diary, we'll take you through the festivals and traditions still lighting up September nights, the exhibitions and cultural gems waiting in Malaga, the food and hospitality highlights across the coast, the music and nightlife you won't want to miss, and the best sports and outdoor adventures to keep you moving.
Plus a few surprises, because this is the Costa del Sol. You never quite know where the next detour will take you. Stay tuned. The Weekly Diary starts now.
Malaga Radio.
So let's dive straight into what gives September its heartbeat on the Costa del Sol. The ferias, the fiestas, the traditions that keep these towns alive long after the summer crowds have gone.
Exactly. And the first stop has to be Mijas Pueblo, where the Feria, in honor of the Virgen de la Peña, has been filling the streets since Saturday. It runs all week, and tonight, Monday, is the big day, the solemn procession of the patroness.
Warmerly. Oh, it's magical. From the caseras strung across the pueblo in daylight, kids with balloons, families crowding around food stalls, to the glow of the evening procession. At 9:30 tonight, the Virgen leaves the sanctuary and winds her way through the narrow streets, candles flickering against whitewashed walls. And you feel the devotion, the pride of a whole community.
And it's not just the religious side. The Feria de Mijas is famous for its balance, a vibrant day fair in the town square. Then the party kicks off in the Recinto Feriol at night. Casitas thumping with music, fairground rides spinning, and a municipal stage where on Wednesday you'll get a full-on pop concert with melody, and Thursday they ease the volume down for Children's Day.
Yes, I love that. The Día Sin Ruido, when the rides go quiet for children who need it. And don't forget the Punto Violeta, the safe space tent where volunteers look after anyone who feels vulnerable during the party. It shows how these old traditions are evolving with modern awareness.
Now, Carmen, let's talk about food, because September on the Costa del Sol is harvest time. And that means one thing, festivals of the land and the sea kicking off tomorrow, Tuesday. Rincón de la Victoria becomes the anchovy capital of the world.
Yes, the Fiesta del Boquerón Victoriano. This year, they'll hand out more than 1,000 kilos of anchovies, not the salty ones, the fresh ones. Imagine it. Smoky espetos grilled over olive wood, fried anchovies served crisp and golden, free tastings in over 60 restaurants across the town. And it's not just about eating. There are show cooking events, concerts in Plaza Al-Andalus, and my favorite, traditional fishing reenactment on Saturday morning. With a proper marengo breakfast by the sea.
Only in Malaga province could a humble anchovy get its own 5-day festival. And it's brilliant because it's not a tourist gimmick, it's locals celebrating a fish that has fed generations, turning it into a party that everyone's invited to.
From the sea to the vineyards. This week, the inland villages light up with harvest fairs. Starting Friday, Mollina holds its Feria de la Vendimia, the streets filled with music, artisan stalls, and equestrian shows. But the heart of it is the wine, a toast On Thursday night opens the celebrations, and all weekend you can taste local vintages straight from the wineries.
And just up the hills on Sunday, Moclinejo celebrates the Fiesta de Viñeros. That's one of my favorites. Grapes being pressed underfoot, verdiales bands strumming guitars and clashing cymbals, and a giant communal paella bubbling away while the whole village gathers around. It's rustic, chaotic, but full of joy.
And it's not just wine. Casabermeja is hosting its Festival of the Goat this weekend, honoring the local Malaga goat breed with tastings, cheeses, and traditional dishes. Alozaina has the Fiesta de la Aceituna, all about the olive harvest. Each little village finds a way to celebrate what sustains it.
Then there's Guaro, the mountain town that transforms completely for 2 nights with the Festival de la Luna Mora. On Friday and Saturday, the streets are lit by more than 20,000 candles. Imagine walking through alleyways where every step is bathed in flickering light. There's a Moorish market, falconry, street theater, and this year, a concert by Chambard in the open-air auditorium.
It's breathtaking. The mix of Islamic, Sephardic, and Andalusian music, the smell of spices drifting from the market stalls, children holding candles in little lanterns. It's like stepping into another time. And the contrast with the beaches just half an hour away makes it even more special.
And let's not forget Malaga city itself. Monday the 8th is a public holiday for the Virgen de la Victoria, patroness of the city. There's mass in the cathedral at midday, but the real highlight is the evening procession starting at 7:30. The Virgin is carried from the cathedral up to a sanctuary, accompanied by choirs and marching bands. It's solemn, emotional, and the whole city turns out to watch.
I love how every corner of the province has its own way of honoring tradition this week, from urban processions in Malaga to village grape harvests, from candlelit Guaro to the anchovy feasts of Rincón. It's a patchwork of devotion, gastronomy, and community.
Whether you want the big energy of Mijat Feria, the intimacy of Maro's final night, the taste of anchovies in Rincón, or the glow of Luna Mora, September gives you plenty of reasons to wonder.
And that's just the festivals and traditions. Coming up next, we'll slip into the cool halls of Malaga's museums, explore exhibitions that are closing this week, and show you where art and culture meet the autumn light.
Malaga Radio.
After the music and fireworks of the Feria, September also gives us a chance to slow down and step into the cool halls of Malaga's museums. Culture here doesn't stop for the summer. In fact, September is one of the best times to catch exhibitions before they close.
Absolutely. And 2 big ones are wrapping up right now at the Museo Carmen Tessin. We mentioned the museum earlier when talking about Luna Mora and the way traditions blend. But here it's all about painting. Pintura Liberada, which captures the Spanish transition years after 1975, ends this Sunday, September 14th. So it's your last chance to see artists like Luis Gordillo and Chimacobo grappling with freedom and experimentation in a brand new democracy.
I love that. The colors, the energy, you feel Spain finding its voice again. And running alongside it, there's Terrafilia, a very different exhibition focused on our relationship with the land. It goes until September 24th, so you've got a little more time. But if you're in the center this week, it's worth pairing the two together. One is about people finding freedom, the other about grounding ourselves in nature. It's a beautiful contrast.
And then you stroll across the city to the Casa Natal Picasso, the house where Picasso was born. Right now it's showing Guernica Despedazado, fragments, interpretations, and echoes of Picasso's most famous work. It runs until the 28th, but September is a perfect time to see it because the tourist rush is easing. You can stand in front of those pieces without being jostled by a crowd.
And the weight of that theme, Guernica's destruction, violence, memory, it feels different when you're standing in Malaga, Picasso's city. You sense the connection between artist and place.
Now, if you're in the mood for something bold and modern, the Mucac La Corache is hosting Omni Moda and Cristina Lucas. 2 contemporary shows, both running into October. They're sharp, questioning, sometimes challenging, the kind of art that sparks conversations long after you leave.
And for something a little more playful, head out to Benalmádena, where the Cultural Center is showing an exhibition by Agatha Ruiz de la Prada until the 19th of September. It's colorful, whimsical, full of fashion meets art moments. Perfect if you're traveling with family or just want to brighten up your day with something joyful.
And Estepona is keeping things lively too with its summer book fair, which runs until the 14th. Stalls stacked with books, authors signing copies, the smell of paper and ink mixing with the sea breeze from the promenade. It's not just about buying books, it's about celebrating stories. As summer turns to autumn,
Of course, exhibitions don't all live inside walls. September also gives us markets and open-air culture. Down at Muelle Uno in Malaga Port, the summer artisan market is still open every day from 11 in the morning to 11 at night. Handcrafted jewelry, local ceramics, fashion, food stalls, and the harbor as your backdrop. It's one of those places where culture and leisure meet seamlessly.
And we actually mentioned Muelle Uno earlier in the year for our concerts and food events. Now we're mentioning it again as part of culture. That's the beauty of the space. It's multifunctional. One evening, you're listening to a band under the cathedral dome. The next, you're browsing for handmade gifts under fairy lights.
And while we're talking about places that surprise you, the Centre Pompidou Malaga continues its long-term exhibitions this month. Kandinsky just closed, but the collection still shows off some of the best in 20th century abstraction and modern art. The glass cube itself is worth the visit, sunlight pouring through colored panels onto the art inside.
And don't forget the Colección del Museo Russo. Their headline exhibition this season is Ana Pavlova, Una vida sin fronteras. It's ballet, history, and visual art all intertwined, running until next year. But if you're in town this week, it's a calmer alternative to the center's bustle.
So, Baptiste, what I love about this week is that it's a bridge. You still have the energy of the ferias in places like Mijas or Guaro, but you also have this quieter layer, art shows, ending, exhibitions you can catch before they disappear. It balances the noise and the silence.
Exactly. And if you're planning your trip, think of it as a rhythm. Feria by night, museum by morning, markets in between. September gives you the full palette.
And speaking of palettes, we should stop before you start comparing paintings to anchovies.
Fair enough. So let's leave it there for culture and exhibitions. Coming up next will make you hungry. From anchovy festivals we mentioned earlier to vineyard harvests and goat feasts, it's time for food and hospitality.
Malaga Radio.
Now, if the festivals are the heart of September, then the food is its soul. This week on Nictus del Sol is a feast in every sense of the word, and some of the province's most delicious traditions take center stage.
And we already touched on one earlier, the Fiesta del Boquerón Victoriano in Rincón de la Victoria. We mentioned it in the festival section as a celebration, but it deserves its place here too, because at its core, it's all about food. More than 1,000 kilos of fresh anchovies served up in every way you can imagine.
Yes, not the salty tin kind, the fresh ones straight from the sea. Smoky espetos cured and grilled over olive wood, crispy fried anchovies golden in paper cones. Free tastings across 60 different restaurants. And it's not just eating, show cookings by local chefs, concerts in Plaza Al Andalus, and on Saturday morning, a fishing reenactment followed by a proper marengo breakfast. It turns a simple fish into a week-long party.
And it's such a Malaga thing to take something humble and celebrate it with pride. The anchovy, the boquerón isn't just food, it's identity. And in September, everyone is invited to taste it.
But the harvest doesn't stop at the sea. Inland, the vineyards are at their peak, and that means wine fairs. On Thursday night, Mollina opens its Ferida la Vendimia, the wine harvest fair. At 10:30 in the evening, the first toast marks the start of 4 days of music, tastings, and celebrations. You can wander artisan markets, watch equestrian shows, and of course, sample the local vintages.
Exactly. It's not just wine in a glass, it's wine in context. Families bringing grapes to the press, stalls serving cheeses and cured meats to go with the local reds, children running around the fairground rides while their parents sip a mosqueta. It's a full sensory snapshot of rural Malaga in September.
And then on Sunday, head to Moclinejo for the Fiesta de Vineros. That's one of the big ones. The whole village comes alive with the sound of Veriales bands, men in flat caps, stomping grapes barefoot in wooden barrels, and the smell of a giant communal paella drifting across the plaza. The wine is moscatel. The food is traditional. The atmosphere is pure joy. If you want to feel how harvest turns into fiesta, Moclinejo is the place.
And if you prefer something a little different, Casabermeja, as you cover this weekend with its Festival of the Goat. It celebrates the Malaga goat breed, famous for its milk, cheeses, and traditional dishes. So you find everything from slow-cooked stews to grilled meats, plus tastings of artisanal cheeses that go back centuries. It's rustic, it's hearty, and it's very, very tasty.
I can see your eyes light up whenever we mention goat stew. But yes, it's one of those festivals that connects food and culture directly. Animals that have sustained the region turned into a day of pride and celebration.
And speaking of staples, let's not forget the olive. In Alozaina, the Fiesta de la Aceituna celebrates the olive harvest from the 12th to the 14th. There are tastings of different varieties, demonstrations of milling, and a chance to see how the humble olive becomes the golden oil that defines Mediterranean cooking.
I love that contrast. On the coast, you've got anchovies sizzling over the fire. In the hills, you've got olives pressed into oil, and in between the vineyards are bubbling with moscatel. September is like a map of flavors, each town telling its own story through food.
And there's even a contemporary twist. Over in Cartama, the Ruta de la Tapa y Cortel runs through September. Dozens of bars and restaurants compete to serve the most inventive pairings, a creative tapa matched with a signature cocktail. It's modern, it's fun, and it's a great way to discover places you might never walk into otherwise.
And it's a dangerous game if you don't pace yourself. But yes, it shows how food culture here is alive and evolving, not just rooted in tradition, but also experimenting.
And of course, we can't talk about food on the Costa del Sol without mentioning the everyday experiences that feel like festivals, even when they're not, sitting in Plaza de los Chinoros in Fuengirola, hopping from bar to bar as plates of tapas arrive with every drink, or heading down to the Chiringuitos in Carihuela or Torre del Mar, where espetos of sardines blister over olive wood fires right on the sand.
Those are the moments that linger. A plate of fried aubergines drizzled with honey, a glass of tinto de varana, children playing by the water's edge. They don't need a stage or a parade. They're cultural rituals in themselves.
And let's give a nod to the wineries too. In Manilva, the Civima Museum and Winery offers tastings year-round. Even though their Vendimia festival ended last week, September is still the time to visit, wander the vines, and taste the year's first must.
Exactly. Food here isn't just about eating, it's about belonging. Whether it's anchovies by the sea, wine in the hills, or tapas in a plaza, it's always tied to people, tradition, and celebration.
So if you're here this week, you've got choices. Anchovies in Rincón, wine in Mollina, grapes in Moclinejo, goats in Casabermeja, olives in Alozaina, cocktails in Cartama, each one a doorway into the Costa del Sol's identity.
And remember, we mentioned some of these festivals earlier in our tradition segment. That's because here, food and tradition are inseparable. One flows into the other. To taste September is to live September.
And after all that food, maybe it's time to dance it off. Because coming up next, we'll take you into the night. From salsa legends at the castle to arena concerts in Malaga, it's music and nightlife on the Costa del Sol.
Malaga Radio.
All right, we've feasted on anchovies, goats, olives, and wine. So now let's burn some of it off on the dance floor. September is still buzzing with music and nightlife across the Costa del Sol.
And the headline this week, it has to be El Gran Combo de Puerto Rico playing on Friday the 12th at Mare Nostrum Fuengirola. We already mentioned Castillo Sohail earlier for its festivals, but by night, that fortress becomes a stage, and this isn't just any band. El Gran Combo are salsa legends. Formed in the 1960s, they've played to audiences all over the world. Now, imagine hearing them under the stars with the Mediterranean just behind you.
It's the kind of concert that turns a summer night into a memory. The rhythm, the horns, the sway of the crowd, and the venue, that castle by the sea, adds a touch of history to every note. If you want to feel Latin music at its finest, this is the night.
And Fuengirola isn't the only stage. In Malaga City, Saturday the 13th and Sunday the 14th, bring one of Spain's biggest urban stars, Quevedo, to the Martín Carpena Arena. 2 back-to-back nights, both starting at 9. It's modern, it's electric, and the arena will be packed with fans singing along to every word.
I can already hear half the audience shouting Cuérate. Cuérate's energy that mixes rap, reggaeton, and melodic hooks, and in an arena, it just explodes. It's a very different vibe from the salsa of El Gran Combo, but that's the beauty of these coasts. One night, you're swaying to brass sections by the castle. The next, you're bouncing in a sea of glow sticks.
And then something more intimate. Also on Saturday the 13th, the candlelight concerts continue in Malaga. This one is at Sala Fundación Unicaja Maria Cristina, a stunning venue in its own right, and is dedicated to Coldplay and other rock classics. Picture it, a hall lit entirely by candles, a string quartet playing Viva la Vida or Bohemian Rhapsody are still pulsing in Puerto Banús, Ready Love.
I love candlelight shows. They strip away the noise, the crowd, the screens, and you're left with music glowing in the dark. It's perfect for a date night, or just for anyone who wants to step out of the feria madness and into something calmer.
And of course, nightlife here isn't only about ticketed concerts. The clubs and beach venues are still pulsing. In Puerto Banús, the big names keep the weekends alive. Friday night, you might start at a pool party with DJs, then slide into Mirage or Moclinejo for late night sets. Mondays are famous for ladies' night at Tibú, proof that the week never really sleeps there.
Españos is like its own little universe. Yachts in the marina, champagne on the tables, and music that doesn't stop until sunrise. But if that feels too polished, head to Torremolinos and Los Alamos Beach, where DJs set up right on the sand, bare feet, mojitos in hand, and the sound of waves mixing with house beats. It's nightlife with salt in your hair.
And if flamenco is more your rhythm, Benalmádena offers 2 gems this week. On Tuesday the 9th, the Flamenco Guitar Fest celebrates virtuosos of the Spanish guitar. Then on Saturday the 13th, the Festival Flamenco El Quejigal brings singers, dancers, and musicians together in a traditional showcase. Both events remind you that nightlife here isn't only electronic. Sometimes it's a lone guitar under the stars.
And let's not forget Guaro's Luna Mora Festival. We already mentioned it in festivals, but it doubles as a music event, especially with Chambao performing on Saturday night, candlelight and Andalusian fusion music together. That's pure magic.
So this week really gives you a spectrum. Salsa Royale in Fuengirola, arena pop in Malaga, candlelit classics in Maria Cristina, flamenco traditions in Benalmádena, and club nights in Banús or Torremolinos. It's nightlife that stretches from castles to cathedrals to beaches.
And the common thread? Music always tied to place. A castle wall, a marina, a flamenco tablao, a candlelit hall. The Costa del Sol turns every setting into a stage.
So the question is, do you want to sway, dance, sing, or just sit back and listen? Because whatever you answer, this week has something waiting for you.
And don't worry, we'll remind you in our daily show about who's playing when, so you don't miss that concert or that DJ set. For now, though, let's trade the night for the day. Coming up next, sports and outdoors. From tennis battles in Marbella to hikes, cable cars, and coastal adventures, we'll show you how to keep moving on the Costa del Sol.
Malaga Radio.
So we've danced through the night, and now it's time to stretch our legs. September is one of the best months to get outside on the Costa del Sol. The heat softens, the skies stay clear, and suddenly hiking trails and tennis courts feel inviting again.
And speaking of tennis courts, the spotlight this weekend is in Marbella. The Davis Cup qualifier brings Spain up against Denmark at the Puente Romano Tennis Club on Saturday the 13th and Sunday the 14th. 2 singles matches on Saturday starting at 12:30, and then doubles plus 2 more singles on Sunday from 11:30. Carlos Alcaraz, Alejandro Davidovich, Holger Rune, some of the sport's biggest names battling it out on clay, just a stone's throw from the Mediterranean.
That's huge. I love how Marbella blends glamour with real sport. You can wander from a tennis stadium buzzing with 5,000 fans to a beach bar in 10 minutes, and September makes it even better. The energy of the crowd without the suffocating heat of July.
But if your idea of sport is more about nature, the Caminito del Rey is still open Tuesday through Sunday. It's one of Spain's most famous hikes, a suspended walkway clinging to the cliffs of the Gaitines Gorge. It takes about 2 hours to cross, and September is perfect because the weather is mild, but the views are just as dramatic.
And it's not just a hike. It's an experience. You hear the river rushing below, see vultures circling above, and walk on wooden planks bolted into rock walls. It's thrilling, but safe, and it leaves you with that feeling of awe you can't quite shake off.
And if you'd rather be on water than above it, the kayak tours from Mairo to Nerja run daily. Guides lead you into sea caves, under arches carved by waves, past cliffs where waterfalls tumble straight into the sea, and the snorkeling. Crystal clear water, shoals of fish darting below. It's adventure and relaxation rolled into one.
I always say kayaking there is like slipping into a secret postcard. And September is ideal. The sea is still warm, but the summer crowds have thinned, so you paddle in peace.
For something a little different, hop on the Benalmádena cable car. It runs from Orio de la Miel up to the top of Mount Calamoro, giving you panoramic views of the coast. And when you reach the summit, you can catch a birds of prey show. Eagles, hawks, owls swooping against the backdrop of the Mediterranean.
It's such a mix of thrills and serenity. You float up over the town, step out into cool mountain air, and then watch a falcon dive at lightning speed. It's family-friendly, it's accessible, and it reminds you how varied this coast really is.
And of course, sports here aren't only about spectacle, they're about community. On Sunday, Torremolinos hosts its big weekly rashro, the flea market on Avenida del Real. It's not competitive sport, but it's an outdoor ritual. Hundreds of stalls, bargain hunters weaving through, families making a day of it. It's part shopping, part strolling, part people watching.
And trust me, you need stamina for it. Walking those rows of stalls, haggling, carrying your treasures back. It's as much exercise as any hike. Plus, you never know what you'll find. Vinyl records, vintage clothes, handmade crafts. It's the thrill of the hunt.
And let's not forget the sea. September is still beach season here. Parasailing over the bay of Fuengirola, jet skiing off Marbella, paddle boarding in Torremolinos. The water's warm, the sun's golden, and you get that rush of adrenaline with a backdrop that's pure Mediterranean.
I love the balance of it all. One moment you're climbing a gorge, the next you're gliding on the water, and later you're wandering through a flea market with an ice cream in hand. Sports and outdoors here aren't just activities. They're part of the rhythm of life.
So this week, whether you're a tennis fanatic, a hiker, a kayaker, or just someone who loves a stroll through markets and marinas, the Costa del Sol has something waiting.
And that brings us to the end of our journey for this week's Sports and Outdoors. Coming up next, we'll wrap it all together with our closing thoughts on why September is such a special time to be here on the Costa del Sol.
Malaga Radio.
And that brings us to the end of this week's journey through the Costa del Sol, our festivals, our art, our food, our music, and our outdoor adventures.
It's been a week of contrasts, candlelit villages and salsa concerts, anchovy feasts and wine harvests, tennis matches and mountain hikes. September really shows off the variety of this coast.
And remember, this podcast is your big picture, but if you want the daily updates, what's happening tonight, what to plan for tomorrow, which espadilla is lighting up the evening, join us every morning on Freshly Squeezed. 3 handpicked events served like your morning coffee.
And for the links, addresses, and booking info, head to our weekly diary blog at malagaradio.com. It's your companion guide, everything we've talked about here, plus a few extras.
And don't forget, Malaga Radio podcasts are everywhere. Apple, Spotify, iHeart, YouTube, even Alexa. Search for the Weekly Diary or dive into our specialist series like Active Adventures if you're all about hiking, sailing, or cycling, or Towns in Focus if you want to explore one place in depth.
Basically, wherever you are, we're there. So you can take a little piece of the Costa del Sol with you, whether you're here on holiday or listening from far away.
Until next time, Mis Amores, thank you for joining us. This was the Malaga Radio Weekly Diary, episode 35. See you next week.
Malaga Radio. Malaga Radio.